became one of the clearest voices in Israel for a peaceful agreement with the Palestinians based on this idea that we can hear about today, which is called the two-state solution. That's when the two-state solution idea was born. And throughout the 1970s, he continued to write about it and speak about it publicly. He and several other Israelis who agreed with him formed an organization that was dedicated to this issue of an Israeli-Palestinian peace based on the two-state solution. And eventually they were contacted by the PLO, the Palestine Liberation Organization. Yasser Arafat's top people contacted them because they wanted to see maybe there's something to this, maybe there is a solution here that we can talk about. And then they began this many years of secret kind of meetings and dialogue between this member of my father and his group, who really represented no one, they're renegades, and official members of the PLO. Like I said, Yasser Arafat's top people. In this picture, my father is with Sam Sartawi, who was the Palestinian ambassador to Paris for many, many years. He was later killed. But this went on for many, many years. The Israeli government wanted nothing to do with this. And like I said, on the Palestinian side, these were officials of the PLO. On the Israeli side, just renegades. And the challenge was to convince the Palestinian leadership to give up the struggle, to give up the idea of retaking Palestine, of taking Palestine back, and allowing the refugees to return. How do you convince Yasser Arafat? How do you convince the Palestinian leadership to do this? And this was the challenge. Eventually they succeeded. And in 1998, Yasser Arafat and the PLO changed, accepted the two-state solution, recognized the state of Israel. In 1993, we had, some of you may recall, we had the Oslo peace agreement. And the Oslo peace agreement was something that many people thought was going to lead to peace. It had great promise, but eventually led to catastrophe. And this is the group of people who were behind it, which in many ways explains why it was a catastrophe. The Oslo Peace Accords were signed at the end of 1993 in a very well publicized ceremony in the White House. A lot of people thought this was the beginning of a real peaceful existence in the Middle East, in Palestine. I don't like to say Middle East, I'm talking about Palestine. Apartheid had fallen, the Soviet Union had fallen, the Berlin had fallen, the world was changing at that time. So it made sense for us to believe that Palestine was next. But it wasn't. The Oslo Peace Accords, or the Oslo Accords, were a catastrophe. They made things worse for the Palestinians, and the reality that exists today in Palestine, where the life of Palestinians is unlivable regardless of where they live, is largely a result of these accords that gave the impression that they were leading to peace, but in fact allowed Israel to continue to expropriate Palestinian land, take Palestinian resources, and strengthen its control over the lives of Palestinians with the Israeli secret police and military. And when we look at this group of people, it's not surprising. These are the group of people who were behind the Oslo Peace Accord. So on the one side we have the Egyptian President Mubarak, and on the other side the Jordanian King Hussein, which in America we like to consider as moderates. These are two vicious, brutal dictators who nobody elected, and the reason they're considered moderate is because they're bribable and have no conscience and could give a damn about their people or any other people. So the more money we give them, they will sign any agreement we want. Representing Israel, we have Yitzhak Rabin, who was later given the Nobel Peace Prize, where he should have been taken to the International Criminal Court at The Hague and imprisoned for war crimes. He's probably one of the worst of Israel's war criminals. And they're all led by an American president. And no American can be president unless they support Israel 110%. No American can be president if they are an equal broker. No American can be president unless they demonstrate clearly every single day of their lives how much they supported Israel over anybody else. Nothing good can come out of this group of people. Certainly nothing good for the Palestinians, who were, like I said, suffered 1,000 times more as a result of the agreement between these people, which allowed Israel to make things worse for the Palestinians and take more control of the water and the resources and the land and so forth.